and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. So today I am here with March's 2023 TBR Mini Golf. I can't believe we're doing the third month of the year already, it is insane. But yes, I'm going to stop waving this about. But yes, we are here with the third month of the year, March TBR Mini Golf, which is basically a mini game where I play mini golf, and that decides what I read every month. But before we get into the rules, I'm just going to quickly take you through what I managed to read from February's edition. If you want to watch February's edition of TBR Mini Golf or any of the others, they will be linked down below. There is a full playlist of them as well. But yeah, just quickly before we start, I managed to actually do quite well in February. I am still reading one of the books, but other than that, this was a major success. So we did very well here. So in no particular order, I read X's and O's by Amy Lee. This was for most recent purchase, which I really enjoyed. If you want my full thoughts and feelings on any of these, they will be discussed in a lot more detail in my February wrap up. So I will just quickly mention them and give you a star rating, but mostly my thoughts and feelings will be in that video. But I rated this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it made me realise how much I actually enjoy romance, and that romance is quite a guilty pleasure for me. It was very kind of cliche and tropey, but honestly, I really enjoyed it, so here we are. The next one was oldest book released, so the book that has been released the longest time ago on my physical TBR, and this was The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie, which is Agatha Christie's first Poirot book, if not her first book altogether. I just read this one the other day, read it in about a day, and I really enjoyed it. I really like the Agatha Christie books that are set in a house or one particular space, where you can kind of easily keep an eye on all of the characters. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And the next prompt was favourite author, and I chose The Garden of Words by Makoto Shinkai, and I enjoyed this one. This is at manga, and I wanted to get a couple of manga or graphic novels onto my TBR. There is a few themes in here which I am umming and ahhing about, as I feel like they might be a little bit problematic, and I will go into that more in my wrap-up video. But I did still really enjoy this one. I always enjoy Makoto Shinkai's work, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars as well. The next one is Quick Read, and I've already passed this one on to somebody else, but that doesn't mean I didn't absolutely love it, because that is Welcome to St. Hal by Lewis Hancox, which was my trans teen misadventure is the full title. And this is a graphic novel memoir about Lewis Hancox growing up trans, and it was incredible. It was so well done, absolutely amazing, very raw, heartfelt. It's basically about him talking to his younger self as he's going through this kind of gender affirming journey. I thought it was incredibly well done. It made me very emotional and have goosebumps, and it's so raw and honest. And I just thought it was brilliant, so I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. And as I said, I have passed it on to somebody else who will hopefully also enjoy it. Enjoy feels like the wrong word, but get a lot out of it as well. And last but not least, we have oldest book on my TBR, which is the one that's been on my TBR for the longest in comparison to the Agatha Christie one, which is the book that was released the longest time ago. And I chose Catwoman Soul Stealer, which is one of the oldest books on my TBR, the ones that have been on for the longest physically. Finally reading this one. I am currently just over halfway through, listening to the audiobook so far, but I might pick up the physical version. And really enjoying this one so far. This is in the DC Icon series, following some of the DC icons, and there's 4 in the collection. It's not really a series as such, and this one is following Catwoman and is written by Sarah J Maas. And I've listened to half of this one so far, and I am enjoying it. It's interesting going into this one with not a lot of knowledge about the DC universe at all. Okay, so just quickly about the rules of this game before we get into it. As you can probably tell, I try and pick 5 books every month, so I basically have to get a ball into a hole 5 times, and each hole has a prompt attached to it. So I have 4 holes, as you will see in a moment. They each have a prompt attached to them, and when I get a ball into the hole, I then pick a book based on the prompt that's attached to it, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So I do go for 5 books every month, but if I miss after 3 goes, I have to add another go and therefore add another book to my TBR for that month, which has happened a few times. However, if I get 3 hole-in-ones, this has never happened as of yet, but if I get 3 hole-in-ones in a game, then I can swap out a prompt and kind of give it another go if maybe I'm not really vibing with that prompt that month. I think that's everything I need to tell you guys. As I said, there will be the holes will be on the screen in a moment. I need to pick 2 prompts for some of the holes before we start, because as we started the game after last month, I need to add a prompt anyway from last month. And also I saw one of the prompts before we started the game when I was setting up, and I try not to look at them at all, so I need to pick a new prompt for orange and turquoise. So for orange, we are going to go for this one here, and for turquoise we are going to go for this one. Okay, now you should be able to see what it looks like down there where the holes are. I've added the prompts so each one has a prompt. I have no idea what they are at all. So let's get started for the first book and the first prompt. I don't really aim anywhere because obviously I don't know what any of the prompts are. Okay, we got our first hole-in-one, that's a good start, and let's see what the prompt is on green. Okay, so the prompt on green is orange cover, and I know exactly what book I'm going to pick for this one. So this book has been looking at me from my shelf ever since Mark bought it for me the other week when we visited Daunt Books in London, and it has a very orange cover. There aren't that many books with like bright orange covers, but here we go. So that's the first one that came to mind. This is a very short Japanese translated, I think it's translated from Japanese, but it's set in Japan anyway. It's only like 70 pages long and it sounds really interesting. Mark bought it for me because of the title, and then we read the synopsis, which just says 2 friends meet across 3 dinners. In the back room of a pet shop, they snack on dried shrimps and discuss fish breeding. In a remote new home in the mountains, they look for a solution into a weasel infestation. During a dinner party in a blizzard, a mountain claustrophobia makes way for uneasy dreams. Their conversations often take them in surprising directions, but when one of the men becomes a father, more and more is left unsaid. Sounds like it could be really interesting. I like reading and exploring new Japanese translated fiction as well, so this is the one I'm going to choose for orange cover. Okay, and to replace the prompt on green, I'm going to choose this one. And for book 2, let's go and see what we get. Okay, that went straight over blue, so no hole-in-one there. And that one also went straight over blue. I'm not going to count either of those. Okay, so we have 3 goes left for this book. And it went through turquoise beautifully, so let's see what the prompt is on turquoise. Okay, so this one is author debut. I am going to have a look at my TBR because I don't really have an idea of what I want to read in March and see what I want to add to my TBR. Okay, so the one I'm going to pick up is Must Love Books by Shauna Robinson. This one was recently sent to me by HarperCollins? Yeah, by HarperCollins. So thank you so much to Harper for sending me this one. It sounds like it's super interesting. It's following an editorial assistant as she works in the publishing industry, and she's had 5 years of the job and she's concluded that dream jobs do not exist. She's spiralling, unable to afford her rent, and she starts freelancing for a rival publisher. And then Andrew Santos, who is a best-selling author who also happens to be quite attractive, is thrown into her life, and she must decide where her loyalties lie, whether she's ready to choose herself and her future over her job. It looks like this is one of 2 books that this author has written at the moment, but this one looks like it was their debut. So I'm going to read this one. I think it's not out in paperback in the UK yet. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like it's going to be really good, and it has a blurb from Taylor Jenkins Reid on the front as well, which is very exciting. So I'm going to pick this one up as author debut. Okay, and for another prompt on turquoise, I am going to go for this one. I think that's right. Okay, for the 3rd out of 5 books, let's go. Didn't quite go around blue, that is very annoying. Let's see if the next one's any better. And I went straight through blue and green. Let's try orange, that one's easier and we haven't got there yet. Okay, straight into orange. Let's see which one is on orange. Okay, this one is one word title. I'm just gonna have a look at my shelves and see what I have for this one. Okay, the one that immediately jumped out at me is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I often find it's hard to pick one word titles. There isn't actually as many out there as you would think, but this one jumped out at me from my pile of like recently acquired, which is here, and I'm very excited for this one. It's actually being published under Rebecca Kuang, but you will probably know this author as the author of The Poppy War and Babel, which she writes under R.F. Kuang. And this one is a very interesting, by the sounds of it, very interesting fiction book following a author or aspiring author. Let me get a synopsis up because this one does not have one. So this one's actually following two authors, June Hayward and Athena Liu, who were supposed to be twin rising stars. They both went to Yale in the same year and they had their same debut year in publishing, but Athena's a cross-literary darling and June didn't even get a paperback release. Nobody wants a story about basic white girls, June thinks. Then June witnesses Athena's death in a freak accident and steals Athena's just finished masterpiece, an experimental novel on the unsung contributions of Chinese labourers to the British and French war efforts during World War I. What if June edits Athena's novel and sends it to her agent as her own work? What if she lets her new publisher rebrand her as Juniper Song, complete with an ambiguously ethnic author photo? Doesn't this piece of history deserve to be told, whoever the teller? That's what June claims, and the New York Times bestseller list seems to agree. But June can't get away from Athena's shadow, and emerging evidence threatens to bring June's stolen success down around her. As June races to protect her secret, she discovers exactly how far she'll go to keep what she thinks she deserves. So this sounds like it's going to have all kinds of moral queries? Quandaries? Quandaries is probably the right word. And I'm very excited to read it. Also, a couple of books set in the publishing world, which is quite interesting. And this one comes out in May, on May 16th, so I'm very honoured to get a art copy, and I definitely very excited to read it before it comes out as well. Okay, and the next prompt we are going to put on orange. I am going to go for this tiny one here that I have no idea what that one is. Okay, so for the 4th out of 5 books, let's go. Okay, we got another hole in one, so we went straight through turquoise. Let's see what the prompt is. Love this one. We had it quite recently as well. More than 400 pages. Okay, let's see what's on my TBR. I'm very tempted by one that I'm looking at on this stack. You might be able to see it. I'm so tempted. Do I want to do it? Do I want to put it on my TBR? Kind of do. This actually isn't as long as I thought it was. It's 470 pages, but it is still over that 400 page mark. And this one is The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, and this is by Shannon Chakraborty, or S.A. Chakraborty, as she publishes City of Brass under, which I actually haven't read, but HarperCollins sent me a proof of this one. They also sent me the proof I have of Yellowface, so thank you so much to them for both of these. And it sounds like it could be really, really cool. It says that Amina is a smuggler, pirate, blasphemer, who was too ambitious, too violent and utterly inappropriate. And from what I understand, it is her just wanting to live a normal life, basically, after being a pirate. So it sounds like it could be really interesting. It comes out in March as well, so I feel like this one would be a good one to get to in the month of publication. And I do really like the idea of going into this adventure story when she's actually, I think she just wants to settle down, basically, after having this adventurous life of a pirate. So yeah, I'm going to add this one to my March TBR. Okay, and for the last prompt we're going to go for on turquoise, let's go for this one here. And for the 5th and final book on this TBR, let's go. Oh, we didn't quite get that 3rd hole in one, which would have been if that had gone through green. Oh, and it just bounced straight back out again. Okay, 3 out of 5 goes. Let's see. And we missed it. Oh no. Let's not add another book to this TBR now. Okay, we went through green on the 4th go. Let's see what the prompt is. And this prompt is cozy reading, which is essentially down to me to pick what I want to choose for this one. So let's just have a think about what I want to add to my TBR. Okay, I am going to choose Firebird by Sunmi, which again is a proof that HarperCollins sent me. So thank you to Harper for fueling my TBR for March, because that is essentially what's happened. And this one is a graphic novel. I always think of graphic novels as like cozy reading because I feel like you can settle in and read them all in one sitting. So this is why I'm choosing this one. This is a proof and it's a graphic novel debut. It has mostly just black and white, and then in the front there is a sample of what it will actually look like as a finished copy, and very excited to read this one. It says Caroline Kim is feeling the weight of sophomore year when she starts tutoring infamous senior Kimberly Park Ocampo, a charismatic lesbian, friend to rich kids and punks alike. Caroline is flustered but intrigued. Their friendship kindles, and before they know it, the two are sneaking out for late night drives, bonding beneath the stars over music, dreams, and a shared desire to get away from it all. A connection begins to smoulder, but war feelings of guilt and the mounting pressure of life outside these adventures extinguish their spark before it catches fire. This one sounds like it could be really, really good. I really like the cover for this one as well, and the drawing style for like the cover and the start. It's going to be interesting reading this because of it being in partly black and white, and it looks like it has a very unfinished style as well. It's very like scratchy, but this could be really interesting to see how that kind of translates, and it sounds really good as well. So yeah, I'm happy to be adding a graphic novel to my TBR because a couple of these are quite daunting for me. So this is the TBR that we're faced with. I'm glad that we have a shorter one and a graphic novel because overall a couple of these I am going to find quite daunting, but just to quickly go through them, the first one we had was Orange Cover and I chose Weasels in the Attic. The second one we had was author debut, I think, and I chose Must Love Books. Then we had One Word Title, in which I went for Yellow Face. Then we had More Than 400 Pages, so I chose The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. And last but not least we had Cozy Read and I chose Firebird by Sunmi. So that was my TBR for March. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, you can watch any other edition of this TBR mini golf game down below. There is a playlist link down there. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay tuned to see whether I enjoyed these books that I've picked up. And if you want to find out more about the books I read in February, then please check out my February wrap up when it goes live, when I film it soon. But anyway, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye!